So, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm so excited to have Wendy here with us today because we first met quite a while ago on a different sort of journey. And we're here now to discuss how Wendy is using video for her business. So, first of all, introduce yourself, please, Wendy.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. So, my name is Wendy Griffith. I am the owner of the Thriving Woman Project, which is really a community designed to help women thrive in all areas of their life, health, and business. I first became an entrepreneur 12 years ago now. I have to think, gosh, time has gone so quickly. And yes, I have been so fortunate to meet Anita on my journey as an entrepreneur. And yeah, for me, it's just really been a journey of taking my passions, seeing what I could monetize, and working that into a business that fits around my lifestyle as a mum. I live here in sunny Norfolk today, although very freezing Norfolk.
Yeah.
And, just really about sort of embracing sort of all the different elements. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur, so I have a few different businesses that I operate, but it's really all geared around empowering and supporting women, especially when it comes to their online marketing business and also with their sort of health and well-being, because I am a certified health coach and menopause wellness practitioner as well.
Wow. So quite a few little avenues and revenues of empowerment there. Actually, I'm not going to link to the monetary, but just that whole empowerment for women around you. So obviously, we're going to talk about YouTube in a moment, but video, it plays a massive part. We're recording this podcast. We're on the video. So how are you currently using video in your business? So you've got all these different multiple streams of work that you need to do. How are you embracing video in that?
So it's so interesting, isn't it? Because things just move on so quick. And I know when I started my podcast a few years ago, um, I did it because I was like, oh, this will be great. Like I can totally record it. I can be in my gym jams. Like no one's going to care what I look like. And nowadays, it's literally there on YouTube for everyone to see. So you actually have to sort of look sort of a little bit more turned out. So some days I don't. Some days it is literally post gym, hair sprayed back, and we get on and record because I think, for people listening, it's just the value in the information, isn't it? Not how you look.
Yeah.
But certainly for me, video has, I mean, I love the video revolution personally. I mean, I was laughing today chatting to someone about how I first did my work experience on the radio when I was 17. And I actually sort of had the desire to be a TV presenter back in the day. And I've just always loved the medium of interviewing and, speaking to people. I'm not shy and afraid of the camera, but I think it's not because I'm like this super uber confident person, but more so because I just love getting stuck into sort of speaking to people about their experiences, their journeys. And really, I don't really see the camera there.
Mm.
How I see it is I'm just talking to a friend.
Yeah.
And so at the moment, the way that I'm using video, I absolutely love hanging out on Instagram, using Reels, and now more so TikTok. And I'm seeing sort of a
Mm.
big uptake in my TikTok accounts. And actually, what I love about TikTok is it's much more real. And literally, the videos where you are greasy hair, no makeup, just talking to camera, those are the ones that get the most traction. So it's really quite interesting in terms of content repurposing and
Mm.
videos and how we use them. But obviously, with my podcast at the moment, I am uploading those videos onto YouTube. And initially, I was doing that simply to have more inclusivity because I'm conscious that some people may, struggle with sort of hearing. My mother-in-law is deaf and but has a cochlear implant now, so she is able to listen. But obviously, I think with all of our
Mm.
modes of communication, we need to make them as inclusive as
Yeah.
possible. So I love the fact that you can take a podcast episode, you can put that into a video, you can caption everything, you can split it up into videos, you can, for your Instagram,
Mm.
etc. You can repurpose that content into a blog, into newsletters. So I'm really passionate about the power of repurposing content.
Brilliant. And what are you using for that? Are you using a particular software to help you cut that up or?
No, I'm not. For me, I think about, right, what is the core piece of information that I want to
Mm.
deliver with this piece of content? And then depending on how inspired I'm feeling, I mean, sometimes it could come from, I do a reel or a TikTok and it gets incredible traction. And I think, onto something
Yeah.
here. this needs more exploration. I need to get stuck in a bit more. Maybe it's a blog piece, maybe it's, a newsletter idea, or, it could be I've written a newsletter from my heart, and I'm very much about that, just really writing from how I'm feeling, my experiences, etc. And then I get this huge reaction from people, and I think, oh, okay, we need to turn this into a podcast,
Yeah.
or do some videos, etc. So I'd love to say I have this amazing automated system that does all this for me, but I don't. And I very much operate on my intuition and gut in my business, and really like to respond to what my audience is needing and asking me for, basically.
Yeah. But that's really good. I mean, that's a good strategy, because if it feeds into the end offers, then it's working. And I think, like you say, if you're trialing out TikTok at the moment and you're getting a lot more movement with those short videos because they're more real and I suppose more authentic, because I know that some people find that when they have a script and they've got everything set up in their office, they suddenly
Oh,
get this
I've
like
never done that. I'd love to
freeze.
say everything's scripted. I know you used to be able to get that software, didn't you, where it could prompt and bring up
Oh
your.
yeah, the
I mean,
teleprompter
I
thing.
couldn't,
Yeah.
I couldn't work that technology out. I was like, oh no, I'm just rather going to fudge it and speak to the camera and
Yeah.
see what happens. And I think, nowadays, the trends now in 2024 is so much around authenticity and
Yeah, that's right.
vulnerability. And that's not you like pouring your heart out and sharing all your deepest, darkest secrets, but it's just being real and relatable.
Yeah.
That's the content that people enjoy. They want to see the behind the scenes stuff. They want to see the struggles. They want to see the journey. And that's where obviously the storytelling is so powerful.
Yeah, and the short videos do that in a way, because they you can just pick up your phone and do a quick look. This is what I'm doing. Like I nearly did one just now. Like this is what I'm going to be doing with my podcast. So I've got this up, and that's
Yeah.
what they like to see.
And it's so interesting on that. Recently I actually delivered an online webinar for women struggling with sort of perimenopause symptoms and health. And the biggest traction I got from that, obviously the webinar went really well, but actually it was, as soon as I finished the webinar, I picked up my phone and did a story saying, I've just got off my webinar. We had, 50 people on, spoke about what I'd, had spoken
Spoken
about in the
about, yeah.
webinar. And I downloaded that video because I'm always about the repurposing, and I uploaded that in a few different places. But oh my goodness, the traction! That video got so many views. People commenting underneath, "Can I have the link to the webinar? I really want to hear that. This is great, etc." So a 30-second video on the fact that I'd done a video.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the thing that got the traction.
Yeah, and that's probably, like you say, the authenticity and the energy, because you were like so like
I was
probably,
buzzing, and
yeah,
I think
buzzing, and it all, and it
yeah,
that's I think that's the magic about video, is that it
yeah.
can pick up
And
that
and I love
energy.
And I love the randomness things. Like, I
Yeah.
love your TikTok account now, Anissa, because I love going on there and just like, you're like, right, I'm doing a roast chicken for dinner. And I'm like, I want to see how Anissa makes this roast chicken. And it's so funny because people just love the most random stuff.
I
It's always
know,
the most random stuff that I'm up to that, people just love because
I
it's
know.
real, relatable. It's like,
I
get on the
know.
air fryer chat. People love it.
I know.
I
Well,
was
my steam
at that
oven,
steam oven, I
I
know.
know. Well, I bumped into an old friend, literally. It's a mum from the school that I haven't seen in like, what, 5 years. And she said, "Oh my God, I come across your steam oven thing about when you did your vegetables. I've had a steam oven in my bank of ovens in my kitchen for like 10 years and haven't even switched it on." And I was like,
It's hilarious. Literally, I wish that Food Ninja, or my sort of like all-in-one ninja thing, like had a referral program, because so many people have bought a Food Ninja off the back of my like videos and posts about it.
yeah,
Literally, people think I'm a brand rep for them because I just love it so much, and I've
yeah.
always it in my videos and cooking and stuff. And they, honestly, I don't
Yeah.
make
Well, you can do it
fortunes.
on Amazon actually, as an affiliate on Amazon. You could
I
get
could,
something
yes,
into zone for
absolutely.
that. But that's
Honestly,
another podcast in its
I was
own,
going
I
to
think.
say, setting up an Amazon affiliate account is like, they ask you for sort of your life history and
Yeah,
blood
it's quite
samples.
difficult. I think once you're in the door, it's a little bit easier, but yeah, it can be quite difficult to do that. So yeah, so we'll swap off the food and just talk about your YouTube channel. So you're really heavy on podcasts and video podcasts, which is great because YouTube has gone ballistic on podcasts. They're really, really pushing
And
podcast
they've got
content.
some really cool technology coming out now around the podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's going to be, and I know sort of like there used to be the Google podcast, but now that's all merging in.
But what YouTube have done is that they've actually given you the ability to create like a podcast playlist, which on your channel, I noticed that you don't have like
Yeah,
a
I mean, I have a
separate.
playlist set up, but
Yeah,
I
but it's
haven't
not a
got into it.
specific,
Yeah,
yeah, podcast
exactly.
one. So what they've done is that they've they're identifying the content by what type of content it is. So for example, if you've got like a short video, like a vertical short video that you've maybe brought over from TikTok to your YouTube channel, that would be known as a YouTube short, and that has its
Mm.
own tab. Then if you've got your videos in a playlist, so for those listening, a playlist is like a series where you can group the same sort of content together so people can consume it in like a episode 1, episode 2, episode
It's like
3,
it's
that
like
sort of
binging
thing.
Netflix, isn't it? People want to
Yeah, it's
have it
like
there in one
Netflix.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've done the same with podcasts. So podcasts have actually got their own place on YouTube now. And you can actually, all of your videos that you've got there that are podcasts, you can basically group them all together in the YouTube studio and create a podcast playlist, which will then be shared onto YouTube Music as a audio podcast as well.
Amazing.
So you've
Amazing.
got the ability to sort of like go further with it. And those of you that have got a podcast that don't have it videoed, you can actually now just pull your RSS feed in straight from your original audio platform straight into YouTube, and it will sit on your video channel as a audio. So
That's amazing.
yeah, really, really taking
And
it to
if
the
you've
next
got
level.
both, is it worth doing both then?
I personally think it might be, because I've been umming and ahhing about that, because obviously this YouTube has its own YouTube Music app, which the audio would go over to if it was an RSS feed.
Yeah, cool. So it's just giving you wider reach.
Yeah, so it's basically
Love that.
giving
Yeah,
you lots more opportunities. So it's basically amplifying your reach
amazing.
from one option.
Great
So
tip. Thank
yeah, so
you.
we'll show you how to do that after the podcast is finished. I'll show you how to do it. But
Great.
that's sort of thing that you can do with with your podcasts. And so you're using your YouTube channel at the moment as a place for your
Yeah,
podcasts. And
I've recently done I've historically always had a YouTube account, but I've not really paid it that much attention. And to be honest with you, I've always been a bit sort of intimidated by what to do with YouTube. But
mm,
more and more, my business strategy in 2023 was very much around the SEO platforms. And in terms of like the health coaching piece of my business and the recipes and the things I was doing, it made sense for me to get some quick wins using Pinterest really to drive traffic to my
mm,
website. So I had made sure that I set my Pinterest account up properly, created my boards, and it's been driving so much traffic to my website. And then it was like I didn't want to do all the things at once. I think you need to sort of think
yeah,
strategically. YouTube is an investment of
yeah,
time, and you need to give it time. And obviously, it's been so inspiring watching your journey and what you've been able to do over the last year, 18 months with your YouTube channel. So that's exactly why I'm here today.
yeah,
So for me, my strategy for 2024 is very much around YouTube, because I think I see a lot of entrepreneurs, certainly where I help them with their digital marketing in my Thriving Biz Club, as part of the Thriving Woman Project. And I see, people think, oh, I've got to be on social media. And then they straight away to de facto to, oh, I've got to be doing Reels, I've got to be doing TikTok. But what I would say is the most efficient, smart use of your time, if it's limited, which it is for a lot of people, is to absolutely leverage the SEO platforms. So
yeah.
depending on type of business,
Mm,
looking at your Pinterest, be looking at your YouTubers. And I appreciate everyone probably knows what I mean by SEO platforms, but it's the fact that Pinterest and the likes of YouTube, they're not just social media platforms, they're
yeah,
actually search engines.
yeah.
And now, like the trend in people searching for content on those platforms is just mecca. We got to jump on that. So if you want something to be there for years to come, like I still drive traffic from a pin that I would have put up a year ago to my website, whereas that Instagram reel I talked about, the same thing, that's long gone.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's the main reason I almost started this podcast up, is to actually inform people of that YouTube is, and Pinterest as well, because Pinterest has always had really good search. And Pinterest, I know I've been on there a few times. It's not really that video centric. So they do videos on there,
Not.
but it's mainly images or,
To be honest, my videos do, and again, I don't have I'm going to do specific video for
yeah.
Pinterest, but what again, I repurpose. So I'll take something that's getting really great traction
Mm,
on Instagram or TikTok and move that over to Pinterest. And again,
yeah.
drive more traffic.
Yeah. But I think YouTube as that platform for video and SEO is just phenomenal because it's owned by Google. So if you
Yes,
search
of
on
course.
Google for something and you have a video about it on YouTube, Google will pull that video into Google will pull the YouTube video into Google and place it even above the ads that people are paying
Yeah,
for
absolutely. Because
because
they want people creating content because they
yeah,
know it's
exactly.
people don't we know nowadays. I mean, I can't remember the last time I read a magazine, but we don't go and buy a product because we see a beautiful magazine spread of some gorgeous model draped over a perfume
Mm,
bottle. We buy it because we're out, we give our friend a hug. Oh, you smell nice. What is that? And we go through personal word of mouth recommendations. We buy steam ovens because we're watching Anita cook a chicken and we're super inspired. And so it's that real and relatable content. So of
yeah.
course they're going to prioritize that more because they know people are making buying decisions by what they're seeing
Yeah.
on
On
channels.
yeah, that's right, on video. And like you said, you've had a pin that's working really has got a longevity. The same thing happens on YouTube. One of my best performing videos on my other channel is like 5 years old and still brings traffic. So if
You
people are
just
searching, it will come up. And I think that's
and
really
if they
cool.
find if they find that one video that's super helpful to them, it's the same with anything. They're going to go and do a deep dive. Oh, who is this Anita? Oh, what does she do? Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Oh, I'll watch that. I'll watch that. I'll watch that. I think the thing though with YouTube that people can get quite overwhelmed with is and this is where you do need to have a bit of a strategy around
Mm.
it and really sort of considered, and you need to know who you're talking to and what that person's pain points are and really address those through your content because yeah, and I think people think, oh, well, how do I create that like fancy cover and how do I
Yeah.
edit it all? And what people don't realize is having a YouTube channel that's working successfully for you does take a commitment of time. Even if you're producing sort of 1 to 2 videos a week, you really have to think smartly about that. But that's why I say, if you're doing that for your YouTube channel, well, then that can be repurposed. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm coming from the other way in that I've invested in all the other platforms. And now for me, my strategy for 2024 is very much around YouTube because I just think that is here to stay. It's
Yeah.
owned by Google, the number one search engine in the world. So why wouldn't you invest your time in that?
Yeah. And I think you're right that what you said about the whole polished look, there's a real comparisonitis going on with a lot of people who've not stepped into YouTube because of course you see all the big numbers and you see all the big YouTubers
Oh, it
and you
can be
make a
intimidating.
comparison, it can be intimidating and you touched on it a bit. You've got to flip the switch a little bit and look at it in a different way because we're using it is a social media platform. It is there for brand awareness and visibility, but we all have to start somewhere. And the ones that have got 1 million subscribers, they pay people to edit their videos. They pay a whole production team. That's
Yeah.
how they've maintained that strategy.
But it's like anything, you've got to start somewhere
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you've got to get going. And I think it saddens me, but I get it at the same time. How many women will say to me, "Oh, I hate my face on video,"
Yeah.
and the thing with that, and there's so many different elements, but the core thing is that you're making it about yourself and
Yeah.
not about the people that you can help. When people say to me, "Oh, you're so confident on video," and they're comparing. So that's the big thing. Don't compare someone's journey who's further down the road to you to where you are now. But also just think, I had to start somewhere. I look back at some of my earlier videos and it's cringe.
Yeah.
It's proper cringe. But we have to start somewhere. And I always feel like when I do any form of video, whatever it is that I'm talking to my audience, I just think, how am I serving them? Like
Yeah.
what benefit am I giving them here today? It's not about how polished my makeup is or what my hair looks like. It's just about bringing real value to people,
Yeah.
and people feel that energy through the screen. They can tell when it's authentic, when it's real, when it's you sitting there trying to be and come across as all perfect. Like people switch off to that. They don't
Yeah,
relate to
you don't
it.
need it. I mean, it's what you can give the audience. The audience will benefit from it. And like you say, it doesn't matter what you look
What your
like, and
hair
it
looks
doesn't
like.
matter, as long as you've got good audio and, if you can be in a lightly lit room, then that's perfect. But to be honest, just start because every video you do, you can learn from. And if you learn from each video, every time you do a new video, it's going to get better and better and better. And that's all you need to
I
ask of
think
yourself.
I think the biggest tip I would give anyone with video, and I don't know if this bugs you as well, Anita, but when you sort of jump on a video to watch something of someone and they spend the first like a minute going, "Hi everybody, so it's a nice sunny day here today," and la la la. I'm like, please, like just get
Start.
to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just go straight in with, hi lovely, or hi friend. Like I haven't spoken, haven't been on here in a while because I've been doing blah blah blah, because or get straight to it, or just be
Yeah.
like, go straight in with, right, I've got 3 tips for you today. These are really helping me to thrive through this winter blue
Yeah.
situation going on right now. And I'm sitting there in my woolly hat,
Yeah.
and then give the 3 reasons, and then say, and if you'd like any further, go to the link in my bio, whatever it is, but just get to it. Don't People do the waffle at the start
Yeah.
because they're comfortable and they're trying to make but actually it just makes people have got attention span of less than a goldfish nowadays. Like you have to get straight into it.
Yeah.
You don't go, right, I'm standing in my kitchen and I've turned the oven on and you've gone, right, tonight I'm making a roast chicken. I'm like, you had me at roast chicken because
In a
I love
steam
you.
oven.
In a steam oven. And so just get to it. Just say what you're there
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
Give
I think you're
value.
you're really, really you're because it's all to do with the hook. It's like when people go, "Oh, I'm just waiting for people to join." But what about that one person that's already joined?
Oh, that drives me nuts. I always start my lives, I go straight into it as if there's a room of a
Yeah,
hundred people listening to me
exactly.
talking.
Because that one person that's joined you then feels like you don't care about them because you're waiting for someone else to join and you're
It's
waiting
a
for
waste
those
of
little,
time.
and
Absolutely.
yeah. And actually, this brings us on to a really good one because one of the questions I wanted to ask you was about obviously you mentioned about women having issues with like body image or what they sound like and things like that. So how this podcast, I've had mainly women on it, but I have now had 2 men who've contributed and they're becoming out soon. So and it's really interesting some of the things they've said about the limiting things that they've thought about, the procrastination, the just the commitment. So how do you find it? Because obviously you're juggling, you've got a small child, you're running a business, you're running a house, you've got relatives close by. How do you find trying to create video has been affected by those things? Or if they haven't, what tips would you give to the listeners?
I think it just gives you brilliant content
Yeah.
because it's always in the randomness of like your everyday life that people love. So it's always the randomness of the content. So I mean, what I would always say to business owners is don't just start posting for the sake of posting.
Mm.
I mean, obviously you're going to need to think about, what's the purpose of your business, who you're serving, who you're talking to. But then the best place to start is just think about like, what is a pain point? I mean, generally, we're serving an audience. Well, this is what I see 90% of the time. Generally, who we're serving in business is the person we were 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, what was the struggle for you? And for me, like, certainly if I think about like my biz club and I think about, okay, so 5 years ago, my business was mainly in person. How did I get it online? What were the steps I took? What were the struggles I had? What tech issues? All that kind of thing. So speak to the pain points for people. But I
Mm.
really think that in the madness of the juggle of life and all the things, that's just the richness of content. And I just want to say that if you are sitting there struggling, thinking like, who's going to want to hear from me? Who's going to be inspired by me? Honestly, people are actually just fed up of all the curated BS out there. I mean, Love Island started recently, and I just, like, no offense to any watchers of Love Island, but I just cannot deal with that because it's not real. It's so
No.
fake. It's so engineered. I think it was Davina McCall who recently said, I think we should have a Love Island for like divorcees in their mid 40s and 50s who don't rock up on the first show in bikinis. And actually, that's the real gold because you can hear people's wisdom, you can hear what they really have to share with people. So I just want to say, like, if you're stopping because you've got a big zit on your face that day, I mean, whatever it is, like, it's not about you.
Mm.
And you realize that as you get older. The older I get, the more confident I get because I realize people are not thinking about me as nearly as much as I'm thinking about myself. They really don't care that I have a zit on my face. In fact, that zit on my face makes them feel more comfortable
Yeah,
because
because
it
it's
makes them
more
go,
real.
okay, well, if Wendy's got a zit on her face, and she's talking about how like she's been eating quite badly recently and not hydrating, and now she's got this big zit. Well, yeah, I can relate to that. That was me at Christmas, you know, whatever it is.
Mm.
So yeah, we realize, and I'm not going to I always get this wrong, but this like famous sort of quote about when you're 20, you know, you're worried about what everybody thinks about you. When you're 40, you realize that, you know, people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you know, and when you're 60, you realize no one was thinking about you in the first place. And it's that whole thing you do. And who wants to wake up at 60, 70, 80 years old and regret not doing things because you were so worried about what other people thought about you?
Yeah.
And just one more final thing I wanted to say, because obviously you can hear my accent. I'm not originally from the UK. I'm from South Africa, South African born. And I recently did this wellness event at my local gym, just a welcome to wellness, introducing people to well-being. And we did sort of all sorts of healthy habits and stuff. And on the feedback form I was reading afterwards, someone saying to me, you know, Wendy, I loved listening to you. I know this sounds really creepy and weird, but I absolutely love your accent. It's just so calming and soothing. And I just love your voice. And it's so crazy because I could sit there feeling really self-conscious about the fact that I sound different to everybody else around me. But actually, that difference is a superpower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's a really good answer.
Comprehensive.
Yeah,
As you can tell, I feel
true.
very passionate about this subject. I get so sad when I see women holding themselves
Yeah,
back, particularly
it's
women,
true.
obviously, in business because, you know, and that's where you do have to man up a bit. And you know, I have a big jumper that says woman up because I'm all about female empowerment. But I think sometimes we have to borrow from the men's confidence of just own it, just don't seek forgiveness, don't ask permission to do things, like just get on with it,
Yeah.
serve people. And I think as long as in your business you're always coming from a place of love and service and sort of giving to
Yeah,
people,
and
that's always
authenticity,
going to
then
serve you well in
yeah,
life.
yeah, definitely. So you're excited about 2024 with your YouTube channel. So for those of you watching this, I will put Wendy's channel up while we're talking now. But any particular questions that you might have? So, you know, you've had a channel for a while, but you want to like give it that new lease of life and you're really focusing on it. So is
Yeah,
there anything
I
that
mean,
you really want to?
I've not done anything really strategic with my channel. It's basically been a place where I've hosted videos, to be honest with you. And that was because I moved over from Vimeo because they wanted to
Mhm.
charge a fortune to host. I think anybody else have that experience.
Yeah.
So I moved over to YouTube. And that's really what it's been. And then when I really sort of was thinking about inclusivity of people and how they consume your content, and that's for any platform, by the way, like
Yeah.
having a mix of content that people can read or listen to, because everyone has different learning styles.
Yeah, that's right.
So for me, YouTube moving forward, I think what I would really love to do, and you know, utilizing the playlist feature. And so let me know if you think this is a good idea, Anita, is to have, obviously I've got the sort of different sides of my business. You know, I work as a marketing and business coach, and I have sort of the how-tos and the different things that I
Mhm.
can share in that sector. But then also from a perimenopause perspective, and I know you and I are very passionate about this subject, and I know you've shared really vulnerably and helpfully about your journey. And so really as a health coach and menopause practitioner, I'm helping women who are starting their perimenopause journey, moving through their 40s into that time in their early 50s, although it can differ for women.
Yeah.
So I would have playlists for both of those different sides of my business. And then within that, just have, would you suggest, because obviously it can feel quite overwhelming at first to think, well, where do you start? What's the first kind of piece of content that you would post about that? Would you say that sort of education content, that how-to video content that you can do? And what sort of length of video would you think would be the best
I think length
place
of
to start?
video, as long as it needs to be for you to actually talk about what it is that you offer, those two
Okay.
sides of your business,
You
because
don't
it
think people
could.
should get hung up on length and how long things should be?
No. So I always say a video should be as long as it takes you to deliver the content and as short as it's needed to be to not waffle too much. So basically, like you said at the beginning about not waffling at the beginning, just deliver the content and then tell people at the end how they can get hold of you or, you know, pop it
And is
into
there,
there
do you
throughout
have a
the.
little, do you have a little formula for that that you kind of use in the back of your mind when you go to deliver? Do you have like a hook?
Yeah, I usually have like I usually write bullet points. So I'll do a bit of research about, what I want to talk about, and I'll have a couple of bullet points, and then I'll just go straight in with what the video's about. So I don't sort of like say, hi, I'm Anita, da 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 da. I don't do any of that. It's like, okay, so today you're going to learn about the ten things that you need to have on your YouTube channel when you start out. And then we'll just jump straight in. But what you can do to encourage engagement, because you're building a community, is throughout those points, ask your audience to do something, ask them to respond, because a lot of people don't know what to do. They're watching YouTube. Maybe, I know it sounds a bit silly, but maybe it's the first time they've really watched a very knowledgeable video that is connecting them to that person, and they're not quite sure how to interact with you. So, you could ask them to, how does that make you feel, and write it in the comments below, and get them used to
It's
interacting
the
with
same
you.
as what you should be doing on all platforms or
Yeah,
any,
yeah,
blog,
but many
emails,
people
etc.
speak to the camera, but they don't speak to the person that they're speaking to, if that makes sense.
Ooh, love that tip.
Yeah, so if you
Think
just
of
speak
it
to the
like talking
camera.
to a mate.
Yeah.
Speak to
So
a
just
friend.
imagine your best friend's opposite you, sitting on the chair on the other side of the computer, and you're chatting away, and then you just say, so what do you think? How does that work for you? And just
Love it.
tell them to like pop it in, so they'll tell you, and you just say, well, obviously you can't tell me, but you can obviously shout at me through the camera if you want, but you can also write it in the comments, just pop it into those sorts of, I suppose it's making them feel like they're in the room with you. And then I think just go through it. And then I think once the creation of the video is obviously important because it has to have value. But I also think that the optimization of the content is really important. So, for example, I'll just choose one of the videos that I can see below this screen, and
Oh,
you've got
please don't.
four.
They're not
No,
optimized.
no, I'm just gonna say like 4 business trends to get on in 2024. But what what is that related to? So if someone was like,
Yeah,
what type of business? So who are you talking to in relation
yeah.
to which audience do you want to them to connect with you? So in the title, it's almost like, what would you put into the search in order to find a video that you would want to watch around that content? And if you want to try to see what comes up, you could put that title that you've got into the search and see what comes up next to it. Are those videos related to your content? If they are, then you're probably on to a winner, with the fact that on YouTube, a lot of the traffic to your videos comes from suggested videos. So in other words, if someone's watching one of those YouTubers that are bigger than you, perhaps, your videos can actually be suggested next to them. And that comes from you optimizing the SEO better. So the
Yeah.
title, the
I think for
description.
me, I spend time on doing that for the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
as in making sure that the titles is, in the meta,
Yeah, all
description and
those
all
things.
that.
Yeah.
But but then historically, I've just thrown it up on YouTube with little thought as to how that will be found and seen. It's more just an afterthought. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something I can take on board to actually go back through my videos, make sure that they're optimized, all that kind of thing. And then moving forward, that's such a great tip. So what I'll do is when I want to create a piece of content for YouTube, go and actually search on, so if I've got an idea,
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know, perimenopause symptoms, whatever it is, and then actually do some Googling on, what are the
Yeah. What
sort
does
of
that
search
bring up?
phrases, what are
Yeah.
the long tail phrases that are coming up for people, and what are they searching on? Because that's the thing, people often, I mean, my latest search, if I had to go back in my phone this morning, was from Jim when there was a Bee Gees song playing, and I was like, oh, the Bee Gees need to do a reunion tour. And then someone was like, aren't they dead? And I was like, oh, hold on, are the Bee Gees alive? That was the latest search I did on my phone. But people are searching for the most random things.
Yeah, and
And
that's the thing. So like with your perimenopause thing, you were talking, I did a video once when I was going to BMX and my joints ached, and I was like, oh, does anyone else get this? Really
oh,
achy joints. And that just went ballistic on my
I
TikTok.
know it's
And
always simplest.
yeah, but then you put that type of thing into the search on YouTube. So do you get achy joints with perimenopause, and see what videos come up? And then that gives you a hint of,
Amazing.
okay, so what titles are they using? What content have they put out there? Is there anything that doesn't resonate? And then also one tip to sort of finish off on is look at the comments of those videos. So the
Yes.
comments are key to giving you the content for your future
Yeah, the
videos.
voice of customer. And also another thing that a tip that I use, I go and look at Amazon and I look at book reviews
Yes.
on and look at what people are saying in the reviews.
Yeah.
And just a quick question. With your amazing graphics that you have, because definitely your graphics do need to stand out. If you think when you're looking at YouTube, it's the ones that really pop at you.
Yeah, the
So
thumbnail, yeah.
sometimes it's because it seems a bit like, oh, they're quite exaggerated, but actually they need to be. Do you just use Canva for that
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
brilliant?
Canva. And what I would say is that you want to use the thumbnail with maybe the maximum of 4 words, 3 to 4 words, because when you look at the thumbnail on the mobile phone, it needs to be big enough to just catch someone's attention. Because if there's sort of small writing, I can see one that you've got there, that you've got like some writing over here, and you've got you and your guest here, and then you've
That's
got
probably from
one,
season
two,
three.
three, four, right, 4 lines of writing there.
Too much.
Yeah, you just need sort of like, vintage glam to wealthy wisdom. That could just be the big writing at a slight angle and then the two of you there.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what catches people's attention. So 3, maximum 4 words, make them quite big and bold.
Amazing.
And Mr. Beast actually said this because I was listening to his one. Mr. Beast is that sort of like really big YouTuber. He's got like 200, 300 million subscribers. He's got the most apparently.
All.
And he like spends loads of money on his videos and that lot. But he basically said, like just have like 3 elements on your thumbnail and have one that's the biggest. So he was talking about like doing a video on Lamborghinis apparently, and he was like, he had some thumbnails with 5 Lamborghinis, and he had one with like a whole garage full, and then he opted for just this one big one. It was right in your face with just like one word, and it was like, oh, what's that about then? And it's that bit of like, oh yeah, so what? I'm going to click that just to see, And of course, another thing that sometimes is good is just take a little clip of you when you're doing the recording. So what I do sometimes is at the end of my video that I've recorded, I keep it playing for a bit, and then I just sit there with whatever props I've got in my room, and I just go do silly things. But then when you go back to sort of like just trimming the ends and the middle off, or if you do any editing, you can then just do screenshots of you posing, but you're wearing the same clothes, and then you can just put that onto the thumbnail. So it's sort of relatable.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And for video editing, I mean, nowadays there's so many fantastic platforms. What's your go-to?
So my go-to on the desktop is Camtasia, which is it looks quite scary.
That for a long time.
Yeah, it does look a bit scary from the surface because it's got lots of bells and whistles, but you don't need to use all the bells and whistles. It's basically the same as most of them. You have a timeline with your video, and you have a timeline with your audio, and you can cut and paste and stretch and stuff like that. And on the mobile, obviously Canva is something that I go to on the desktop and the mobile for a lot of stuff. Not so much for the finite editing. I would use either CapCut or InShot.
I was just going to say, I love CapCut, but so if you decided to do a video for YouTube, would you obviously, if you do a horizontal view, vertical view for your shorts, and then would you use a horizontal landscape view? Am I saying that right? For like your videos that are going to go on your main channel as opposed to shorts?
So anything over 1 minute, whether it's vertical or landscape, will go into the YouTube normal video area. If it's a vertical video less than 60 seconds, then it will automatically be recognized as a short.
That has got me before because I've wanted it to be a video because I've wanted to use the link, but yeah, it's a bit
it's a bit but videos, CapCut, if you're used to using CapCut, they've actually got a new desktop version. So so you can download the desktop version for Mac and Windows, and it is actually, I looked at it the other day, it is actually almost very similar to Camtasia. So if I was starting again, I would definitely go, I'm using CapCut on the mobile, then I can use it on the desktop. So it's in beta, but you can download it as part of your, you just sign up like you would use your subscription for your mobile on the desktop version. And the reason, sorry to interrupt you, but the reason that the CapCut on your computer is good is because it's not mobile, it's not on the internet, it's actually on your computer. So you don't have any problem with internet connections when you're editing, if that makes sense.
Oh, brilliant. I feel like I'm interviewing you now. One more question.
That's okay.
Is how much are you using the AI capabilities of like ChatGPT, etc., to write any content for your videos for like maybe the the blurbs that go with it and that kind of thing.
Well, my stomach is getting all excited because actually I have the Chat GPT 4 and I use it in part. That is part of my whole process.
Is that the paid for version that you
It
use?
is, but I think you can use the free one, but I actually use it with my content only. So what I do is, because I know you get your SRT files, don't you? So for those of you listening and watching, an SRT file is the basically the subtitles or the text version of what we've said. So when you create your video, you use a software to extract the text of it. So the
The
SRT
transcript,
file or the
essentially.
transcript, yeah. And that transcript, I upload that into Chat GPT and I say to it, I want you to read my transcript of the video I've just done about this, and I want you to tell me what the video is about. So then it looks at it and
Oh,
it gives me its version of what my video is about. So this video would be like you've done a step-by-step guide to how to do a Facebook story, and you've shown people how to use this, and this would be perfect for beginners, da da da. So it's basically
just so
told
mind
me,
blowing.
yeah, what it is. So then I say to it, okay, that's really good. So can you research YouTube for me? And it actually goes to YouTube and look at other videos that are like this and come up with
Stop.
5 titles for me.
No wonder you're getting butterflies. How is this the thing we've got to at the end? No, this is amazing.
Yeah, so I like it because I give it my content. Obviously, AI is connected, and ChatGPT specifically is connected to the whole world, isn't it? And its knowledge is from what people give it. But I only really want to, when I ask it to do any optimization for me, I want it to use my content so that there's no risk of me copying anyone else's content. There's no like
Oh, that's a
plagiarism
big
stuff,
one. You don't
people
want it to sound
coming.
generic
Yeah, I
and
want it to
like
be me.
but
So
yeah.
I often say to it, okay, so you've listened or you've read my YouTube video transcript, so you know the tone of voice that I talk in. Now write me a newsletter to my subscribed email subscribers, telling them about the video and asking them to go and watch it. And it gives me a dear subscriber, da 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 da. And obviously I read it and I tweak it, but
Of
that's
course.
how I
Yeah, you
use
wouldn't
it.
just verbatim. I would say this is definitely going to be on a paid for feature because I'm currently using the free feature at the moment, just more for like hashtags and
Yeah.
hooks and that kind of thing. But you have sold me. I'm off to download CapCut for desktop. I'm off to pay for a Chat GBT subscription, and I'm going to make my life, I'm going to make you proud.
Oh,
You're,
thank
you're
you.
my
That's
number one
amazing.
student. That's my
Oh.
goal for 2024.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up there, but tell everybody, Wendy, how they can get hold of you. Like, obviously I will share your details below
Oh,
this and
amazing.
with the podcast, but tell everyone how they can get hold of you.
Well, I'll keep it really simple. If you just go to my website, wendygriffith.co.uk, from there you can link to my blog, my podcast, my downloads, everything there is to know about me and my socials there. I love, as you've heard, I love hanging out on Instagram and TikTok, but you can keep me accountable on YouTube. So there you go, wendygriffith.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And everyone that's watching and listening, do share it with your friends and colleagues, and we'll see you in the next episode.
So much gold in the last segment there. Thank you, Anita.